Thank you very much for being present at this event organized together with Jeanette. The aim is to have a wide debate on the new industrial strategy. As you have seen from the program, the title is Managing Transformation and Fostering Transition, because these are precisely the two challenges that we have in front of us. Why? Sorry, I think that the others should mute, because otherwise we have background rumors. Why these two challenges are today so difficult and so crucial? First of all, we know from the past that when progress, technological progress, and global markets run very fast, it is very difficult for society to maintain the same pace. And therefore, what happens is that many fractures are created within our societies. You have winners and you have losers. And we have already experienced that, okay, in the last 30 years. But today, the challenge is even more difficult. Why? Well, first of all, because we are managing a twin transition, digital and environmental. And we are managing, and we are, let's say, starting these two transitions during or immediately after one of the worst crises since the war. So we have today a very fragile industrial system. Often this industrial system is even more fragile from a financial structure point of view. During the crisis, what we have done in all European countries is to put in place a program in order to give liquidity to companies, but this means more debt. So the debt equity ratio at the end of the crisis will be definitely worse compared with the beginning of the crisis, before the crisis. And unless if we give to the company, with all the possible tools, enough financial strength, enough financial means to invest at a pace which will have no comparison with the past, well, we will face the risk of going through a deindustrialization process, which we cannot afford. In November, we have presented to the Parliament the strategy, a new industrial strategy for Europe, and the Commission is about to present his document. But what is very important is that during this period, we have a wide debate with relevant stakeholders that we have here today with us. Now, what is very clear in our report is that you cannot, for example, approach the environmental transformation just putting stricter rules without supporting the transformation. Let me make the example of steel. We all think that we need to decarbonize the steel industry. Now, today, maybe the only available alternative source is gas. But what we should do if we want to decarbonize the steel sector? Well, first of all, we need to give money to the company in order to change the equipment. Second, we need to give money to the company as subsidy for gas, because the price of the gas in Europe is much higher than in other places of the world. Third, we need to put in place a carbon border tax, because if we don't protect our standards while we are hiring our standards, what will happen is just that we will have more pollution, carbon leakage, and less industry in Europe. This is just an example, but it's an example that you can apply to all the other sectors. And I think that this is precisely the risk that we are facing today, because it's much easier to put stricter rules than to support a process of transformation. Now, can we change this approach and this attitude? Yes, I think we can, if it's very clear for us that all the measures that will be put in place by the Commission and approved by Council and Parliament will have a very clear assessment in terms of results, in terms of impact, and in terms of measures that need to follow in order to support the transition. This is the challenge we are facing. To miss this opportunity and to do this process, to implement this process in the wrong way is a mortal threat for Europe. Today we will listen from different perspectives how difficult it will be to achieve the objective of the neutrality, environmental neutrality by 2050. And this is not to say that we need to ignore that target. It is fundamental for us, but it's just to be very conscious of what this means in terms of proactive policy and industrial strategy. So thank you very much for being here with us today. We will have at the end question and answer, and I will be more than happy to debate with you and to go in more details if needed. Thank you very much.